I don't feel like working right now. Have you ever felt that way? One of the challenges as a founder for me is that I, and I don't think this is anything special, particularly about me. I think most people, you have a time that is better for you energetically to do work versus other times. Some people are morning people, some people are evening people. But for me, it varies. So, and one of the determining factors is, how soon, well, let me put it this way. I have a list of things that I feel like I need to do in a day, right? But then I will wake up like I did this morning. I can wake up and have an inspiration to do something that is not directly related to what I plan to do, but very much integral to my future success. In these moments, I attribute this to my higher self because when I'm sleeping, I believe that it allows my brain time to cleanse and do all the things that it needs to do for me to be able to think clearly, but also it allows me to interact at a subconscious level. And so when I wake up and I'm inspired to do something that I know makes sense for my business, then I will flip out what I plan to do that day and swap in the inspiration. So this morning, I was inspired to create a storage redundancy for my business. And specifically, I was looking at content creation and what is the method that I was going to use to be able to always have access to my files, regardless of, if YouTube decided to shut me down for some reason or something happened with Google Drive, where would my data be, right? And so I took action right away. I identified a solution. I did the research. I went and acquired the drives that I needed to be able to set that up. I can't test it today because one of the drives is not going to arrive until Monday. But I took action on that inspiration that I know is needed and important for my business, not only for me, but it's also will help my clients to have more confidence and be assured knowing that I've been intentional about establishing a backup environment for anything, any files and any information like that, right? But I never let myself off the hook for the thing I plan to do today. And so now I'm uninspired. I don't want to do that thing. And the thing is another important thing. So I'm working on a warm lead engine. And what that is for me is the ability, it's an automated fashion for cold marketing and reaching out to people. I need to do that. I need to be able to reach out to people. I need to follow up with people who make comments on my stuff. And so this approach allows me to automate the process of putting the appropriate tags and putting information in the appropriate fields so that long term, I can flow those leads into my metrics and understand a broader range of data for my business, right? Important. So what am I going to do today? This is a point where I ask myself, I say, okay, why don't I feel like doing this? And it's in that process that I determined that I basically set an intention for the day and then had to swap it out for something else. And I never set the agreement with myself that I was doing a swap. And so what I really did to myself was I doubled my workload, but didn't give myself any more time to get it done. This is called stress for me. Because of that stress, instead of being inspired and knowing here's the next thing to do, I shut down, right? So just having the process of thinking that through and understanding, oh, right, that replaced this other thing. I made a decision to replace this. In that moment, what I really did is I made a determination that being able to establish backup redundancy within my systems was more important than then creating or then validating the workflows for my lead engine, because the long-term impact of having that redundancy solution combined with the fact that it was Black Friday made that a higher priority. Why? Because I could save a whole bunch of money on the storage space. Basically, it was the deal. And so, when I processed that and I said, I made a priority decision. Now I can feel okay and say, well, you know what? If I get done with the lead engine, the validation today, that's fine. If I don't, it's okay too, because I made a higher level, longer term business decision in that moment. That's what I usually think. The other thing I do when I am kind of in this weird kind of space where I don't feel like doing something I know I need to do is I will pull cards to understand the underlying energy that I'm experiencing in this moment, right? Because I have found that a lot of times I already understand intuitively what is going on within my energy, but the cards help me to visualize and focus on what that determination is. And so because of that, I get reassurance to say, oh, okay, just relax. This is your thing. So what I thought I would do for this video real quick, let's see, I'm 6 minutes in, I've got tons of time, is I'm gonna show you what I normally would do. This is what I'm doing. I'm literally doing this in a moment because I feel like, I'm feeling a weird kind of balance in my energy. And so what I would normally do is I grab cards. So this is a deck that I use. I like this. This is a Clarity Tarot deck. I'm not a reader, and I do this solely for my own personal support and direction. I don't consult. I don't have a person that I go to read and any of that. I just keep a deck. I've got 3 now actually, and it helps me to discern my energy. So the other thing I do is I take the reading, believe it or not, and I put it in ChatGPT to get an interpretation to make sure that it aligns with what my interpretation is for that particular thing. And so I will this is something very common that I will do, is I will take these cards, I shuffle them up. This is my favorite deck that shuffles, but this is not my my main deck. But I have one in this room, and so this is what I'm going to use. And again, all I'm trying to do is get a confirmation on my energy and make sure that, and that I shuffle the deck and then I cut the deck, is what I'm looking for here. The mirror that I'm looking for is to make sure that I haven't slipped into an energy that does not support my goals. Okay. Sometimes that happens. And then when I look at the cards, since I trust, I've done this enough times that I know that I am reading consistent energy, it will sometimes help me to see something I can't see in the moment because I'm tired or whatever reason. So then I just shuffle the deck like this. I take my card and I go to ChatGPT. I just have the free version, right? And what I'm looking for here is I don't need anyone to read my energy but me, per se, right? But what I like about ChatGPT is it has the understanding of what those cards mean. And so I know I'm getting a textbook understanding of what they mean, and then it can apply that to the context I'm giving it and help me to interpret, the energy I might be experiencing, okay? So then I go here to ChatGPT. I always do temporary chat here. And then I'm just going to say, today I was inspired to do some different work than I had originally planned, period. I was inspired to establish a backup redundancy for my files, period. This decision superseded my original plan, which was to work on my warm lead engine workflow and validate those workflows for outreach, period. I'm now feeling a little wonky. I really don't want to do much with it. And so I pulled cards to tap into my energy and understand what I might be experiencing right now just to make sure that I'm not wavering. The cards that I pulled are the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Cups, and the Devil, all upright. What do you make of this interpretation? Okay. And then I read it. And this is so interesting because there is an underlying feeling that I have of like it's time, it's go time, it's go time. And I'm a little bit, I'm feeling a little apprehension because I'm like, oh my God, it's go time. I'm getting ready to go with this and I need to make the right choices. And I'm a little nervous. And so here's what the reading says. I'm gonna read directly here. Here is the actual reading that I received from ChatGPT. And this is the way sometimes I help to balance my energy and interpret what I'm feeling. It says, here's a grounded, clear interpretation of Ace of Wands, Ace of Cups, and the Devil all upright in the context of what you describe, shifting plans, feeling wonky, and checking whether you're wavering or being guided. Overall energetic theme. The spread suggests that your inspiration to switch tasks wasn't wrong, but there is something deeper happening emotionally and psychologically that's affecting your motivation and sense of direction right now. Let's break it down by card and then integrate. Ace of Wands, a spark of genuine inspiration. This card is the pure impulse to start something creative, strategic, productive, or visionary. It reflects the initial burst of energy that made you divert into setting up redundancy and file backup. This wasn't random. It was a genuine intuitive spark, a good idea that came out of nowhere, a desire to set a foundation to support future growth. It suggests that the shift was not avoidance, it was a real ignition point. Ace of Cups, emotional reset, sensitivity, or overflow. The Ace of Cups adds emotional nuance. It can indicate heightened intuition, emotional openness and vulnerability, feeling a sudden wash of feelings after taking action, wanting to feel right, aligned, or safe. You might be processing emotional residue from something else, wanting your work to feel inspired, not forced, sensing that your system needed cleansing or renewal. The wonkiness you feel could be your emotions catching up with your actions. This card validates your self-awareness. It says the feelings are real, not a problem. And sometimes you need, for me, this helps me provide clarity, because if you were to just call up a friend and say, hey, I'm feeling kind of like this way, then they're not going to have any insight whatsoever into your true situation. Or even if they do, they can't help you at the spirit level, okay? The Devil, attachment, pressure, avoidance, or old patterns. This is the key card in the spread. The Devil upright often shows feeling pulled in old habits, pressure, guilt, or internal conflict, fear of falling behind or not doing what you planned, feeling bound to a rigid expectation, perfectionism, or productivity pressure. It's not saying you made a wrong move. It's showing the mental, emotional pattern that's making you feel weird about it. The cards suggest you may be second guessing yourself because you're afraid of losing progress or not being disciplined enough. There's some attachment to how things should go. Your wonky feeling may actually come from internal pressure rather than the task switch itself. Integrated message. You following a genuine spark, Ace of Wands. Your emotions are open and sensitive right now, Ace of Cups. And an old pattern of self-pressure or self-judgment is creating the discomfort, the Devil. The card strongly suggests your shift in focus wasn't avoidance, it was inspired. The uncomfortable feeling is not a sign you made a wrong move. It's triggered by old conditioning around productivity, discipline, and sticking to the plan. You may be conflating changing directions with losing momentum, even though the change was actually supportive of your larger goals. Your system is desiring both inspiration, wands, and emotional alignment, cups. But your mind, the Devil, is trying to make the experience mean something negative. Okay? So what are you experiencing right now? A real spontaneous inspiration, emotional openness, or vulnerability? Old patterns trying to pull you back into rigidity or guilt? You're not wavering. You're experiencing internal conflict between inspiration and expectation. What to do now? Honor the spark you followed today. Don't interpret the wonky feeling as misalignment. It's just emotional sensitivity bumping into internal pressure. Let yourself reset without making it mean anything. Okay? Now, based on what was shared with me via AI, including AI into this process, it gives me a sense of relief because the old me would have been beating myself up for the whole rest of the day because it's like, you should be doing this. And as a entrepreneur and a founder, there's tons of stuff I should be doing. I never gave myself credit for being inspired and thinking and the forward thinking activity of putting in redundancies, which is a big, strong business move to make, right? There's so many different levels where it's helpful. It's helpful from a liability perspective. It's also helpful, content vendors or someone who, having someone who help me with my content. They now have a location where they can pull all my content and have at it. All these things are long-term business beneficial items for me. But in my mind, okay, I'm beating myself up because, yeah, that was something you should have done, but you're supposed to do this thing here. And as an entrepreneur, this is what I know. I cannot afford to allow my mind to knock me down a peg because I didn't do one thing when something else was more important. And this is a pattern of mine. This is something that I have to fight with, almost not fight with, but it's something that I have to work with almost every day because I have really high standards for myself and I am big into the shoulds. And I've always been that way. And that's the old pattern. The new pattern for me is to work with my energy, to work when I'm ready to work on something, because I can be inspired and work for 6 hours on something and never feel tired. Or I can try to do something when I'm not inspired and have it take forever. So anyway, this is, so I just wanted to share, this is kind of the process that I go through in situations where I feel like I'm not 100% on point with what the goal is for the day. So I hope that was helpful because this is something that is really a real part of my life as an entrepreneur. And I would be lying if I told you that it wasn't something that I use on a consistent basis. And it's been helpful because, like I said, A, I don't have a lot of friends. And B, when you go to another human and you provide them with details about your life, one is a general sense of there's no security, right? Because they may or may not share what you share with them somewhere else. They may flip it and turn something around behind, against you. But the cards don't lie. The cards just interpret my energy and feed and mirror back to me what I believe. And sure enough, the cards told me exactly what was going on. I absolutely can assure you that, yes, I felt like it was the right thing to do. Yes, it was an inspiration. And guess what? Yes, I had some old residue about what I should be doing that was kind of hit me over the head and saying and trying to make me feel guilty about not doing something, right? And that would steal my energy. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. I'm testing out my new phone, and so I thought this was a good topic since I'm in it in this moment. Hopefully it helped. Thank you for sharing this moment with me on the Crystallized Life, where we are exploring the art of becoming and forging the facets of life. Bye for now.